Fox News host Brian Kilmeade has apologized for making extremely callous comments about homeless people on a recent episode of Fox and Friends. During a discussion about a crime allegedly committed by a homeless individual with mental health issues, Kilmeade suggested that those who refuse help should be given involuntary lethal injection, or just kill them. The remarks, which were widely circulated online, sparked a significant public backlash and drew sharp criticism from politicians like California Governor Gavin Newsom and advocates for the unhoused. Kilmeade's on-air apology, delivered a few days later, served as both a personal retraction and, according to a network spokesperson, the official response from Fox News. This incident is part of a broader and increasingly fraught national conversation about homelessness, mental illness, and crime. While many public figures, particularly on conservative media outlets, argue that homelessness is a result of failed liberal policies, and that unhoused individuals pose a public safety risk, studies show that people experiencing homelessness are far more likely to be victims of violent crime than perpetrators. The comments, therefore, tap into existing political narratives and fears, but their extreme nature crossed a line for many, leading to the swift demand for an apology. Reasons and consequences. The primary reason for Kilmeade's apology was the intense public and media backlash. His comments were not just a typical expression of a conservative viewpoint. They were seen as a call for violence against a vulnerable population. This kind of rhetoric is generally considered beyond the bounds of acceptable public discourse, even on a highly partisan news network. The swift and widespread condemnation likely put pressure on Kilmeade and Fox News management to issue a formal apology to mitigate the public relations damage and avoid further controversy. The apology also serves to protect Kilmeade's job, especially in a media landscape where on-air personalities have recently been fired for less egregious comments. For example, an MSNBC analyst was fired for suggesting that hateful rhetoric may have contributed to a political assassination, a sharp contrast that highlights the different standards of accountability across news networks. The consequences of this incident are multifaceted. For Kilmeade and Fox News, the apology may be seen as a sign of accountability, but it doesn't erase the initial statement. It reinforces the perception among critics that some media commentators use extreme language to gain attention, and that they only apologize when faced with overwhelming public pressure. For the broader public, the incident brings the issues of homelessness and mental health to the forefront, albeit in a negative and sensationalized way. While it generates conversation, it does little to foster genuine solutions and may contribute to the dehumanization of homeless individuals. The comments fuel the political divide, with one side using them as an example of the callousness of the right, and the other using the initial incident to justify their concerns about public safety and crime. Prediction and solutions. It is highly likely that this controversy will be relatively short-lived for Brian Kilmeade and Fox News. He has apologized, and the network has seemingly accepted it, allowing him to return to his show. The media cycle will move on to the next major news story, and the incident will be remembered as another example of on-air controversy. For the public, the comments will likely fade from memory for most, but for advocates for the homeless and those who follow media ethics, it will serve as a stark reminder of the rhetorical lines that can be crossed in political commentary. A more sustainable solution to the issues at the heart of this controversy, homelessness and mental illness, requires moving beyond sensationalized on-air debates. First, there needs to be a shift in media discourse from blaming individuals to addressing the systemic causes of homelessness, such as the lack of affordable housing, inadequate mental health care, and stagnant wages. Media outlets should focus on reporting on the social, economic, and political factors that contribute to the crisis, rather than on isolated crimes. Second, a practical solution involves a multi-pronged approach to policy. This includes investing in housing-first initiatives that provide stable housing to homeless individuals before addressing other issues. It also requires a significant increase in funding for mental health services and community-based support programs, moving away from the outdated and ineffective model of institutionalization or criminalization. Finally, A solution requires a commitment from political leaders on both sides of the aisle to treat homelessness as a complex humanitarian issue rather than a political football. This would involve a more nuanced conversation about policy, data, and evidence-based solutions, and a conscious effort to humanize a vulnerable population.